In this video, we're going to talk about right triangles and trigonometric ratios. So this will be a good review from Algebra 1 and from geometry. Not too much new in this section, which should make you pretty excited. So our essential question is, how do the trigonometric functions relate to trigonometric ratios for a right triangle? We're going to find lengths of sides in a right triangle using trigonometry and find measures of angles in a right triangle using trigonometry. So, trigonometric ratios of circles, hopefully you remember, sine is y divided by your radius, cosine is x divided by your radius, tangent is y divided by x, cosecant is just the opposite of sine, or the inverse of sine, radius divided by y, secant is radius divided by x, and cotangent is x divided by y. So those are just your trigonometric ratios for a circle, including using a right triangle. If you just remember, I taught it to you this way. SOHCAHTOA. Sine is opposite divided by hypotenuse. And in this case, the hypotenuse is your radius. So, that's all that is. So trigonometric values beyond the unit circle. For a center position angle determined by the point 8, -6, what are the values of the 6 trigonometric functions? So we're going to go ahead and find all 6: sine, cosine, tangent, secant, cotangent. Okay, so in order to find our hypotenuse, our y value, first we have to find the radius. And in order to find the radius, we need to use the distance formula, because we know the point 8, -6, we know it's centered on the origin. So we're going to use the distance formula. Radius or distance equals x1 minus x2 squared plus y1 minus y2 squared. And if you do that, you get 10. So we know the radius of our circle is 10. So in order to find sine, we do y divided by our radius, and our y value is -6. -6 divided by 10 reduces to -3/5. Cosine is x divided by radius. X is 8. 8/10 reduces to 4/5. And tangent is sine over cosine, y over x. So -6/8. So -3/4. To find cosecant, it's the inverse of sine, so you flip it. So it's r over y, which is 10 over -6, which reduces to -5 that's a 3. Just a moment. Yep, it's 3. Secant is r over x, which is 5/4. And cotangent is opposite, -4/3. Alright, so hopefully you can find trig functions on a unit circle. They're pretty easy. For trigonometric ratios, this is just SOHCAHTOA. It's telling you all your values. Sine is opposite over hypotenuse, cosine is adjacent over hypotenuse, tangent is opposite over adjacent, and then cosecant, secant, and cotangent are just the reciprocals of those. Alright, well, let's put these to work. The large glass pyramid at the Louvre in Paris has a square base. The angle formed by each face of the ground is 49.7 degrees. How high is the pyramid? So you can see we have a right triangle inside this pyramid. We know that the entire base all the way across is 35 meters, so we could find the height by using the angle and the ground. Okay. So if we know the whole way across is 35 meters, what's going to be halfway across? Well, half of 35 is 17, if I'm not mistaken, or 17.5. So we have an angle, we have a side, and we want the opposite side. So from this angle, what are the values that we know? This side is the adjacent side. This side is the opposite side. So which of our trigonometric ratios uses opposite and adjacent? Tangent. So tangent of 49.7 equals opposite side x divided by adjacent side, 17.5. In order to solve this, we just have to take and multiply both sides by 17.5 so that we can move this value over. So you get x equals, and then you put in your calculator, 17.5 times tangent 49.7. Go ahead and try that. See what value you get for x. You should get x is about equal to 20.6. And our units are meters. That's 20.6 meters high. Alright, in triangle ABC, angle C is a right angle, and sine of A is 5 over 13. What are cosine A, cotangent A, and sine of B? Now this sounds fun. So I'm not actually giving you a picture. You need to draw a picture all your own. So let's start by drawing a diagram. So we know we have it's a right angle triangle. Helps if I could draw. A, B, C. C is a right angle, so that's good. The sine of A is 5 over 13. So sine is opposite over hypotenuse. So that means from angle A, so we're using angle A as our vantage point, the opposite of A is 5, and the hypotenuse is 13. Okay, so they want us to find cosine, cotangent, and sine. Now in order to find that, first we need to find what our missing side is. So we can use our Pythagorean theorem. So x squared plus 5 squared equals 13 squared. X squared plus 25 equals 169. Subtract 25. That's a 9, by the way. X squared is 144. That means x is 12. So our missing side is 12. So they want us to find these corresponding values using the vantage point of the angle. So cosine A. Cosine is adjacent over hypotenuse. So from angle A as our vantage point, the side that's next to, that's now the hypotenuse, is 12 over hypotenuse 13. Cotangent A is the reverse of tangent. So tangent is opposite over adjacent. So for cotangent, we're going to do adjacent over opposite. Adjacent is still 12. Our opposite is 5. And then find the sine of B. That means we're changing our vantage point again. So we're going to go from B is our vantage point. So sine of B. Sine is opposite over hypotenuse. So opposite of B is 12. Hypotenuse is 13. So you can see cosine of A and sine of B are congruent. That's interesting. Alright, using a trigonometric ratio to solve a problem. In aviation, an airplane's angle of descent into the airport is 3 degrees. If the airplane begins its descent at an altitude of 5,000 feet, what is its straight line descent to the airport? So if the plane were to continue on this path of a 3-degree angle descent all the way to the ground, how far is the plane traveling? So what's our hypotenuse is the question. So using from our vantage point, this angle here, since this angle is 3 degrees, inside the right triangle must be 3 degrees as well. So using from the angle 3 degrees, we have this side and we have this side. What are these sides in correlation to the angle? We have opposite and hypotenuse. So which of our trig ratios uses opposite and hypotenuse? Well, that's sine. So we have the sine of 3 degrees equals opposite 5,000 divided by hypotenuse, which is x. Now, there are a couple ways you can solve this. You can multiply both sides by x and then divide by sine 3. You can put sine 3 over 1 and cross multiply. Whichever way you do it, you come out with x sine 3 equals 5,000. And then in order to get x by itself, you just divide by sine of 3. Okay, so x, put this into your calculator, 5,000 divided by sine 3. You should get 95,500. And our units are in feet. So, airplane's going to descend for a while, which makes sense since it's only descending at an angle of 3 degrees. Alright, in triangle DGH, our angle H is a right angle. Side H is 13, side G is 5. What's the measure of angle D? Okay, so let's go ahead and draw a picture of this one as well. So we have another right triangle. So we know H is our right angle, and that means the opposite side is our side H. G is 5, so just pick one side. It means they want to know what is this angle, angle D. So if we change our vantage point from H to D, that means we're going to do angle D. Measure of angle D is what's our trig function that relates opposite and hypotenuse. Well, that's sine. Sine of D equals 5 over 13. Now in this case, we can't divide by sine because we don't know what the sine is. So what we do is we take sine inverse of both sides. So the sine inverse of the sine of D, these cancel each other out. So you put into your calculator sine inverse of 5 over 13. So go ahead and put that into your calculator. What does angle D measure to be? You should get about 67.38 degrees. Alright, and last one. Construction. You must build a wheelchair ramp so the slope is not more than 1 inch of rise for every 1 foot of run. What's the maximum angle that the ramp can make with the ground to the nearest tenth of a degree? So here's a picture here. So for every 1 foot across, you can only go up 1 inch. That way people can, use a wheelchair and get up. So we want to find that the rise of the ramp. So if we go from our unknown angle here, oops, don't mind that. So if we go from our unknown angle here, so we need to know the rise of this angle. And we have this side and this side in relation. So we have opposite over adjacent, so that's tangent. So tangent of theta equals opposite over adjacent. We don't know what our tangent is, but we know we have to put these in same units. So tangent of theta equals 1 inch over 12 inches. I know it says 1 and 1, but it's inches and feet. You need to convert them into the same unit of measure. So then you just have to put into your calculator tangent inverse 1 divided by 12. What do you get for the measure of that angle? 4.76 degrees. So you know that your slope can only be 4.76 degrees about in order to maintain that ratio of 1 inch to 1 foot. Alright, that's all I have for you. Here's your lesson check. I want you to do these 2 questions and then show them to your partner, and that's it. Do your homework. Have a great day. Oh, practice quiz. Surprise!